private sector to upgrade their knowledge and skills. These innovative academic and skill building programs are in tune with prevailing and change and emerging needs. Without wasting much time, we have an inspiration here, our guest of honor, Sayyid Humayun Kaisar Sahab, who has been always an inspiration and encouraging youth. Sayyid Humayun Kaisar Sahab is an Indian Broadcasting Service, presently Director Radio Kashmir. I would request Sir for special address.
Esteemed friends on the stage, the professionals, my dear friends in the hall, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I am grateful to Mir Sahab and somewhere Shabir Hassan as well that I am here this afternoon talking to you. Well, I have been associated with youth in a big way, quite different from the counselors, the professionals you have here. I may have mentored, say, scores of people and guided hundreds of them. Not on any subject that you should read this or that, but in their development, in various aspects of life. And today also, when I come here for this special address, I will talk to you about certain things which are quite normal with you or happen to everybody. Before these people take you to different subjects, I'll take you on a journey which will in a way reflect what you can do or what is expected of you or what potential you have which you can utilize. Well, when I come across youth or people or different kinds of students, they want to go and study outside also, J&K. But the problem is that you aim very low. That's the problem. And aiming low is very costly compared to aiming high. You would say how? If you go to JNU, you go to Delhi University, you spend 10,000 or 20,000 in a year only. Say 25, 30, 40,000. You go to Amity or a lovely university, you spend 10 lakhs a year. And you get a degree which is not comparable to either Delhi University or JNU. So aiming high is much better than settling for something which is up for grabs. So that's one of the points which you can do. Definitely you can do it. Well, moving in this direction, the actual thing is to set a time frame for yourself. That in this time period I will reach this far, and then I will do something else and reach that far. Don't move around aimlessly. Don't move around as if you are in dark. That's another kind of a thing which is quite necessary. Or maybe we don't proceed scientifically if you say in that sense. When you aim for something, you want to achieve something, you set a time frame, go full throttle for that. No half-hearted attempts, basically. Second option you have to keep in mind. Second option means what will you do in case there are certain kind of hurdles which you are not able to cross or you are not able to achieve? What next you will do? But the problem with us is our 10 plus 2 student wants to become a doctor, but he takes additional math also as an insurance policy. So the problem is he's not able to deliver even in science because math is a difficult subject for him. So he falls in both of them. He's not able to achieve even one of them. Our students or youngsters are trying for KAS. Side by side, they are doing MPhil. They are trying for PhD. They are into MA. They are doing some distance course. They want to follow some other thing as well. So divided concentration is a dangerous thing. It's better you concentrate on one thing and try to achieve something out of it rather than try too many things. ये नहीं आया हाथ तो वो आएगा तो हाथ कुछ नहीं आएगा. The problem is, और जो हाथ आएगा वो बहुत नीचे की लेवल का होगा. प्रॉब्लम ये भी हो जाती है कि you achieve something which is of a very low level. So better to avoid attempting too many things at the same time. And another limitation we have, I have been talking to students in colleges also, and hundreds of them at a time. I'm not an expert of any kind, not in that way. As just a person who understands or who has been interacting with students and youngsters, I ask them, what's your strength? What you are good at? Not even one raises hand and tells me, मुझे ये अच्छा आता है. Better know your strengths first. We don't know our strengths. The trouble is we don't know our strengths, and it becomes a limitation for us that we do not know what we can do well. Maybe you are not able to do it yourself. Maybe some friend, maybe some uncle, some parent, some teacher will be able to guide you or tell you कि आप ये अच्छा कर सकते हैं, आप इसमें कोशिश करिए. हम ऐसा नहीं करते. That's a problem, that we are not able to understand our strengths. When you understand your strengths, you move in a direction, then know your limitations also. Our problem is that some of us have misplaced confidence as well. The problem is, मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. वो सिर्फ हमारी फिल्मों का हीरो कुछ भी कर सकता है, क्योंकि डायरेक्टर उसको वही करवाता है क्योंकि वो हीरो है. हम सब कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Let's understand that. पहली बात होती है जब आप कुछ सिलेक्ट करते हैं अपने लिए, तो पहले आपको ये सोचना है कि मुझे क्या नहीं करना है. Right? Nobody does it. Everybody thinks what I have to do. Try to think about it what I don't want to do also. Because maybe that at a certain stage in life that attracts you कि मुझे ये करना चाहिए और आपकी concentration बिगड़ जाए, ऐसा ना हो तो बहुत बेहतर है. और there are constraints as well while you proceed. Their constraints are different types. Maybe family, maybe you cannot go out, maybe financial, maybe you are the only child in the house, maybe you have your parents are sick, you have another problems. Keep constraints in mind as well when you are developing something, you are trying to achieve something. Because if you don't keep them in mind, you go ahead and then at a certain point where you should not come back, you have to come back for those reasons. So keep those constraints in mind as well as you move ahead in your life. And another problem or issue with us is, जब ये कर सकता है तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता? It may be at a certain point it may be good that what you can do I can do, but the problem is it's usually said by everybody what you can do I can do that better, but what I have to do I do not know. That's the problem. कि मेरा दोस्त ये कर रहा है मुझे भी ये करना चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं चलता काम दुनिया. आपके दोस्त का एप्टीट्यूड अलग है, वो कर सकता है, आप कुछ और कर सकते हैं, तो आप कुछ और ढूंढ लीजिए. इसमें ग्रुप्स में काम नहीं होता है. करियर में, प्रोफेशन में ग्रुप्स में काम नहीं होता है. थोड़ा मैं सेल्फिश नहीं कहूँगा, उसमें थोड़ा सा इंसान को रहना पड़ता है ऐसे कि मैं ये कर सकता हूँ तो मैं ही कोशिश करूँ. हर चीज मिल बांट के खाई नहीं जाती है करियर में खासकर, क्योंकि जो जहां वो जाएगा वो नहीं कहेगा मेरा दोस्त है टैग हिम विद मी. ये फेसबुक में थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम होगी. When I say know your strengths, evaluate yourself honestly, in the sense that you evaluate yourself honestly whether you are capable of doing what you are setting out to do or not. For last say 6-7 years we have a trend that everybody wants to go for a competitive exam like KS or IAS. Not a bad thing to do. Not everybody. Without knowing the potential, people are wasting their time as well. They are not capable of doing it, still they are trying to. Some कर रहे हैं, मैं भी कर लूँगा. So it's better at that point of time to stop and think, because you may waste 2 years. Instead of that, you can utilize 2 years somewhere else as well. And another thing is that don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid. Those people who try new things find new horizons, and they achieve much better. I should say it's well-established fact that those who take risks succeed more, but all don't succeed while taking risks. So it's not all that feasible to all the time take risks. But try new avenues, try new things. If you hear about new things, try to find out about them and try to go about them. See what these new things hold. Bhed Chal, we had enough of it. There was a time when we started But when Rajiv Gandhi started that communication revolution, PCO, then every other person in Kashmir had a PCO. Then we shifted to something else, and then every other person had a computer institute. He was himself trained for 6 months, but he was teaching a 2-year course in computers. So then we had ready-made garments and everybody started selling them. Now we have coaching centers and everybody is coaching. So that's kind of a bad चाल. एक के पीछे चलना जरूरी नहीं है, थोड़ा हट के भी चलिए. हट के नया रास्ता मिलेगा, बेहतर रास्ता मिलेगा. और जो भी आप चाल चलेंगे, basically shortcuts don't succeed. They succeed for a very short period. They don't succeed. I have my own experience. As I said earlier, I have dealt with hundreds of youth. Shortcuts don't succeed. For a short period they do, but long-term achievement cannot be got through shortcuts. And another special aspect of everybody, human being made by God, is that everybody has something special in him. Something very special, which no one else has. So, we know what the special thing in us is? I think we do not. Most of us do not. We try too many things, and then there are people that must be sitting here as well, many of them, who studied in the university. They studied mass comm and ended up in a bank as a teller. They studied agriculture and they are also teller in a bank. So, the basic thing is that what you study, can you achieve something through that study, or that study goes waste later in the life for you. As I made up certain points. Whenever I talk to people, I don't talk randomly in that sense that jo dil mein aaya bol diya. I make certain points because you can't remember everything. I can't remember much of it, even less than you. You have much fertile and fresh brain than me. I am quite elder to you in that sense. See, look around yourself and absorb what you find in surroundings. When I tell my who come across me, youth, keep your all antennas open all the time. Because there is a lot to absorb in the world. Apart from counseling and a formal counseling, there is no need for it if you absorb things around you. If you have idea of what's happening in the world and what's happening in the world education sector and the education sector of India, have some idea. If you use net, then go around. If you find somebody like gentleman sitting here, go and approach them, talk to them. Try to find out what's happening around in the world. Because you have to absorb things which are around you and keep abreast with the happenings. Otherwise, they'll not come and take your hand and let you know what's happening around you. And something more important related to it is that how much do you read other than yourselves? It's extremely important. Maybe some people say, doctor ko kya padna hai, science daan ko kya padna hai. It doesn't happen like that. Now he is a scientist, he can say it. When he was not a scientist, or she was not, extra reading might have helped them somewhere in the world, life. What to read extra? Maybe you do not know. Talk to someone who might guide you. Ye kitab padho, wo koshish karo, ye magazine padho, wo akhbar padho. That sort of a thing should happen in your life. Because if you indulge in extra reading in any language, your language will also improve. That language will improve. And once your language improves, then you will come to know about so many things which formal education will never tell you. So better do it. You will find time. There are people who say, "मैं 12वीं में पढ़ता हूँ, मैं graduation करता हूँ, I am studying. How can I read extra? Because I am reading and I am doing, preparing for an exam. I mean, say BSc final, I am in MSc, or I am in 12th." Without talking too much about myself, I have also studied a bit. Well, I used to play cricket, and very serious cricket, first class cricket for JNT. I used to study as well. Well, I used to play a bit of hockey also. I used to paint as well. Read hundreds of books in a year. When I could do it, and every student, why cannot you do it? You can do it much better than me. So it's not a problem. It will help you. Tangible and intangible results are quite different. You will come to know about that. And we move ahead and something. When you read a newspaper, you listen to radio, you watch television, Don't get carried away by the opinions of people who are talking, speaking or writing on these mediums. No. See 3 channels, listen to 2 radio stations, follow 2 newspapers and develop and analyze all the news yourself. Develop an opinion. Since you are into competition, into interviews, into competitive exams, your opinions will matter. There you cannot say इस चैनल पे कहा था इसलिए ये अच्छा है, उस रेडियो स्टेशन ने कहा इसलिए वो आदमी अच्छा है या ये काम अच्छा है, or that newspaper wrote it, that's why he's a good player or he's a good singer, he's a good actor or he can do this or that. Develop your own opinions. Analyze things. When 2 friends sit together, impartially talk about these topics. Impartially. And don't get passionate about these topics. They are universal or national topics and they better be discussed like that. And don't make any radio channel, any television channel, your ideal. They are not worth it. You have your own individuality, you can do it better than them. Another aspect of personality is how do you present yourself. Our problem is we do not know how to project and present ourselves. We do not know it.
For the studies abroad and for those who are interested in PhD research abroad. So I thought I'll focus on that. But given the tone of the session in the morning, but of course I take responsibility for my views, no one else is responsible for that. I mean, let me make it very clear that anyone like myself, I'm head of Department of Politics and International Relations, and it's a bureaucratic process. As other academics here would know, that when we join university, we think we are going to do research, we're going to change the world, we want to teach students. In the end, most of the time, we end up becoming bureaucrats. And that's what the role does to us. But that's a challenge that we face. How to balance between our research, our passion for the world, and the bureaucracy that we are part of. That's the thing. But the experience I've had is, even coming from abroad, even when I control budget of my department to an extent, not a great extent, because the administrator controls me, though he's much junior to me, right, in terms of budget. Even when we have scholarships, we cannot offer it to anyone. So even if, let's say, if I think you are very good, you're needy, you're talented, I do not have the capacity to offer that scholarship or fellowship to you without due process. That should be very clear. So even if, for instance, if you know me well, or you know any professor from abroad well, to be honest, even when we want to give you the fellowship or scholarship, it's very difficult. For instance, I'll give you my example. We had a very good PhD, and I wanted to encourage PhD on Kashmir. We had a very good and talented proposal by someone, and I strongly supported as head of department. But being head of department, I distanced myself from the scholarship process because it would become unfair that if I am also on the chair of the scholarship process. But that meant that the 3 other colleagues didn't feel that the proposal was as strong as I thought it was. And that student didn't get it. That applicant didn't get it. And that's the normal process that we all would face. So all I'm saying is, when you expect anything from people who are based abroad, based overseas, whether we are in positions in academia or where they are still PhD students, please don't expect any generosity. Because scholarships and fellowships are never about generosity. And sadly, even scholarships are not about needy. So for instance, you might be very well off and talented, you might be poor and talented. But in, let's say, in UK context, in European context, the fact that you're needy and you're not needy doesn't make any difference. So, and that's not right, but that's how it functions. So the need is mostly not a criteria. It is what's broadly seen as the strength of your proposal and strength of your profile. So you have to base yourself, therefore, on strength of your profile and build that up. And therefore saying that I am poor, and even when we want to help you, we really can't do much. I thought I'd make that clear to you. Now, broadly speaking, in terms of university, I'm thankful to the director who started by talking of what is the role of university, why do they exist and everything. We have to keep in mind that university is about job, imparting skills to you, no doubt. And you need jobs, you can't survive without jobs. And when I say jobs, it doesn't necessarily imply public sector, private sector, it could be independent something. But you do need to make livelihood. Of course, you could be Omar Abdullah, you could be Mehbooba Mufti, you could be Rahul Gandhi, you could be that guy Abhishek Bachchan, practically useless but still get position. So, I'm not talking take off those who are born in privilege, right? So I'm assuming you're not born in privilege, and therefore you have to work hard for achieving something. Now, you do need skills, no doubt, and those things universities have to help you out with, and that's the purpose of the session here, and in terms of guidance. But let's keep in mind that employability is not the only thing. In UK, this is the challenge we're facing in our university. In last 15 years, the role of university is becoming more and more like creating creating students who could be good at jobs. Critical thinking, which was at the heart of university, is disappearing. So university, and even this pushed by the government, which is adopting very neoliberal agenda. So rather than university being space where you could explore yourself. You, as you pointed out, you want to be a doctor, then you change your mind, you want to be a lawyer, but then you change your mind, you want to be an activist. And that's good actually. It's good that when you're young, you have the opportunity to explore yourself, because remember, you always change. The fact that most students end up joining engineering or want to aspire for doctor is not because you want it, because your parents expect that from you, isn't it? Now the challenge you face is that when you join university, you need that space. And that space,
theoretical physics, and study parallel universes and mini black holes that have no practical applications for humanity or for anyone in the society, do it for academic interest. But the other people who are not driven by academic interest, who want to just study to get a job, who want to study so that they can improve their economic condition, who can get a better life, and that's it. And as it turns out, this is the majority of the people. So majority of the people are studying not because they have some ideological commitment to studying, because they want to study, they have some deep academic interests, they harbor some deep curiosity. That comes along the way. But let's be honest, majority of the people here are studying so that they can have a better life, have a better job, have a better life. That's true. So let's deal with these two categories separately. Now, for both these categories, I would strongly recommend leaving India and going to a country with more resources, for a simple fact. You see, in India, we have a lot of population and we have limited resources. That makes it hard to get in very good universities. There are a limited number of good universities, and it's really hard to get in them because lots of people are trying to get in them. As simple as that. For example, the selection rate in IITs, I vaguely remember the figure. It was around 1,000 or 3,000, 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 3,000. And in the same year, I checked the selection rate of, I think it was Harvard or Yale, and it was around 1 in 30. So let's just assume these figures are correct. There might be a slight variation in my memory. Let's say 1 in 30 in Harvard and 1 in 3,000 in IIT. That makes it 100 times easier to get in Harvard than IIT. And given the fact that people are studying for IIT for 1 year, it would be far, far easier getting in there. So given that, and then you would get a better education in Harvard, you would have a better life in US than you would have after passing from IIT. Because in the world ranking, IITs still don't count as high as Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge, or any of those universities. So, so this is a simple factual point. We have more population in India, less resources, harder to get in. The country with less population, more resources, better universities, easier to get in. And then the world is a free place to move around. You can get a visa, you can go. Relatively free. Now the question is, why do students still study for 1 full year here, trying to get into IIT, and then the very best students among IIT try to get into, try to go to US and do a master's here in MIT? Why don't they directly jump into MIT? And the simple thing is because there's a different way of applying here in India, there's a different way of applying in other places. And people are not familiar with these different systems, and that's why people keep sending random emails, confused emails to the staff gets fixed just hearing, and they don't know really what they should do. So I will just summarize what you should do. And this is for people who want to do jobs. I'll come secondly for people who want to do research in theoretical physics or research in some pure sciences. That's something I do, but let me deal with that in as a second topic. The first topic, well, how should you apply and where should you apply? Be clear where you want to apply first. What do you want to do? For example, if you just want to do an MBA because you want to work in Gulf or you want to come back because you have a factory here, then choose a country like UK where you have a 1 year master's, then a country like US where you have 2 years master's. But if you really want to settle in those countries, then choose a country where it's easy to immigrate. For example, if you go and do a degree in UK, it's almost now impossible.
मिला फरियाद न कर ताबीर दिखा तकरीर न कर, तू खाक में मिल और आग में जल, जब खिश्त बने तब काम चले, इन खान दिलों के उनसे पर बुनियाद न रख, तामीर न कर। औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। क़ाल अल्लाहु तआला फ़िल क़ुरआनिल मजीद, फ़ंतशिरू फ़िल अर्ज़ वब्तगू मिन फ़ज़लिह वज़्कुरुल्लाह कसीरन लअल्लकुम तुफ़्लिहून। फैल जाओ इस दुनिया में, अल्लाह की फजीलत ढूंढो, अल्लाह को कसरत से याद करो ताकि तुम फलाह पाओ। और एक बहुत ही ज़ईफ़ हदीस है, या एक अरबिक वाइज से कह सकते हैं, सही हदीस नहीं है। उतलुबुल इल्म वलौ कान बिस्सीन, इल्म हासिल करने के लिए अगर आपको चीन भी जाना पड़े, आप वहाँ पे चले जाओ। और हिस्टोरियंस बोल रहे हैं कि जिस टाइम का ये कॉल है, उस टाइम पे चाइना में मेटलर्जी थी, अरब में नहीं थी। दिस वॉज द मेन एंड बेसिक रीजन that this quote came into existence. Sorry. And before I start my deliberations on that word or there, dare I ask a question? कश्मीरी आती है लोगों को कि नहीं? सबों को आती है? फिर ठीक है, क्योंकि मैं एक जिस्ट बोलना चाहूँगा जो हम यहाँ पे एक इवेंट जो यहाँ पे हुआ है थ्रू DNL काउंसलिंग, इसका जिस्ट क्या है? दफा नफरापोस क्या होस नफरापोस एमिसल शठूल हलमसमत युवत बाज़र विद संकल दा दोस्ता तो ना से अहमद क्या है अगर तुम्हारा क्या शुर ठूले गई से अगर मना कोशिश शर्मे गई से तुम्हारा सारा यारा क्या शुक्र आंसर क्या हिंट दो तो आगे तक मीट में बिचा ये शुरू नेबरिकन सफेद अंजुकिन शो लुदु दरअसल तोर में फिक्र दरअसल क्या दरअसल चेक गावर पर मुझे बात so it should not be like that. I mean, tomorrow you will start. कल को आप मेल करेंगे कि how to get into MIT या how to get into Harvard. It will be like the same thing, you know. गावर पर मुझे because I'm going to invest a lot of time over there. I have invested a lot of time yesterday until midnight. I was preparing these slides only to benefit, because I'm not gaining anything from this. It's just for the sake of Allah and for the sake of you people. I wish कि अगर इस महफिल से, इस congregation से अगर हमारे 5 स्टूडेंट्स भी निकलते हैं जो टॉप यूनिवर्सिटी में जाएंगे, मैं समझ लूंगा कि अल्लाह का फजल है हमारे ऊपर कि ये कामयाब रहा हमारा सेशन। नातिश मिसाल फेसबुक पे इनबॉक्स में आता है कि सर आई एम रियली इंटरेस्टेड इन गेटिंग इनटू MIT, और जैसा फैजल ने बोला या हुमायूं साहब ने बोला कि you should be honest with yourself. Pats du mans kara Facebook te chat pucha sa tumut public. Tachsan shamas 10:30 tumut ya ye raat shamas 10:30 tumut status update feeling alone at home. I think the best thing that guy could do is get married and forget about MIT, because you need to get wedded to your degrees and you need to get wedded to your dreams. Dream high. And as someone said कि टैलेंट बहुत है, that's true, लेकिन टैलेंट कहाँ है? That has to be seen. There's an Italian comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco. His name is Sebastian Maniscalco. He has a very wonderful 1-hour program on YouTube. What is wrong with people? ठीक? What is wrong with people जब आप देखेंगे, उसमें एक वो बहुत ही अच्छा जोक मारता है, जो कि मैं आए दिन सुनता हूँ, बहुत ही relevant है। वो जोक ये है, Sebastian बोलता है कि there are friends who keep calling me, Sebastian, have you seen my kid? I said, what's wrong with him? No, there is nothing wrong with him. He's so talented. This guy is so talented. He's talking about a lady, and this lady is like really vociferous. वो बोलती है कि मेरा kid जो है बहुत talented है. क्या talented है? वो pre-nursery में है, उसको सारी राइम्स याद है. तो Sebastian बोलता है, ma'am, this is not talent. If your kid can fly from this place to that place, that's what I call talent. क्योंकि आज अगर आप बोलेंगे कि मेरा बच्चा या मेरा भाई या मेरा छोटा भाई उसको गूगल पे आता है सर्च करना, फेसबुक करना, and I have seen it a lot of times. People writing in their CV skills, MS Office, MS Paint, MS Word. It's not a skill. Come on, I mean, it's your necessity. If you don't know it, to go die somewhere. I mean, I'm using a very hard word, but this is the reality. If you're not using internet today, to the 99% of the people, you are dead. Believe it or not. और मौलाना गूगल के होने के अलावा जो मैं यहाँ पे बात करूँगा शायद the only purpose is to actually give you ready-made stuff. So I would really now like to go there, and I think you have had your phones who are feeling tired because they have not been touched. This is the time to touch. If you can actually take also the screenshots, because I will not be able to be on the internet for the next 1 week as I'm going to be really busy with traveling. But अगर आपको कहीं पे लगे कि आपको फोटोग्राफ उठाना चाहिए स्लाइड का, do tell me and I'll stop there. I'll give you enough time. ठीक है? I'm not sure if my vocals will favor me today, but the main aim of my talk today will be to talk about how to apply for PhDs, for undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD and postdoctoral fellowships or programs. So the big question that we're going to ask today is, it will be about dynamics of confusion. It will be about the dynamics of confusion. What you're looking at is Shabir Hassan when he was a student of bachelor's. This is me. You cannot see my face because I'm facing my back towards you. So there are Humayun sir ने actually बहुत ही अच्छी बात कही. उन्होंने ये slide पहले ही explain कर दी है. I'm just substantiating it. कि pressures बहुत होते हैं. एक pressure होता है जो आपका personal हो. कि whether I should do it or not, to be or not to be. Not Shakespearean, but whether I should really do it or not. अगर मैं अकेला बच्चा हूँ अपने माँ बाप का, उसके बाद पता नहीं मैं क्या कर पाऊंगा, बाहर में जाना चाहूंगा कि नहीं, पता नहीं अगर मैं एडिशनल मैथमेटिक्स लूँ, शायद कल को मैं डॉक्टर ना बनूँ, इंजीनियर भी बन पाऊँ. फिर जैसे बोला गया, you don't become a doctor, you don't become an engineer, and finally you end up doing B.Ed and waiting for someone to ask whether you should be a good teacher or not. Then the peer pressure comes from your parents and teachers, because मैं चाह रहा था कि इस काउंसलिंग सेशन में हमारे पेरेंट्स भी आ जाएं. This is one of the very huge problems in Kashmir, where we see that the parents want to realize their dreams through the eyes of the kids. अगर मैं डॉक्टर नहीं बन पाया, मैं हमेशा ये चाहूंगा कि मेरा बेटा या मेरी जो बेटी है वो डॉक्टर बन पाए, भले ही उसको ABC भी ना पता हो बायोलॉजी का. Even if she is he is very good in English literature, or he wants to be a writer, I still want to make him a doctor. What actually happens? He's not a doctor. You're killing people through your own words for the sake of earning money. And I think that's the first indication of having a dead society. Then there are societal expectations. कि शायद neighbors क्या कहेंगे. I have so many personal anecdotes to it. When I used to come, from outside India to my home for a month for holidays, then some of my neighbors would be really, really concerned about me. And the fourth day they will be asking me, "Shabir sir, वापस काश उदासी? ये डिग्री गया था कंपनी." I'm saying, "बनवा तो टीचर लेकिन यार अच्छे क्या बात है? ये मेरी डिग्री है, ये मेरा ड्रीम है. Let me live it." Okay? You should not get forced for this. कि अगर किसी ने बोला फलानी बंदे ने केस किया, आपको भी केस करना चाहिए. I mean, if we are living in an ideal world, in a world where doctors shun their MBBS degrees, go for IAS, and engineers kill their 4.5 years in their engineering colleges and then try for IAS or KS, where one day going to have all the deputy commissioners and not a single other worker. And that's not an ideal society. अगर आप देखेंगे कोई बंदा घोड़े में चढ़ रहा है, कश्मीर पर बना दर्शन खासन जरूरी है. If you're good at something, do that. Don't go for preparing yourself for KS. Why? Because मैंने सीमांत वॉइसिंग तो वो जो बने ऑलरेडी KS अफसर तो मुझे भी बनना है या मुझे भी DSP बनना है क्योंकि मुझे गन चाहिए. ठीक है. ultimately आपको मतलब if it's an ideal society, then a DSP or a police officer has to work to make the society better. But in our society, which is completely non-ideal, the purpose of the gun is to So the big answer to that big question is counseling. And counseling starts from you. जैसे हिमायत सर ने बोला कि आप अपने आप को देख लें, आप इस स्टेज से हटें और उसके बाद आप वहां पे रहें और उसके बाद अपनी तरफ देखें और पूछें अपने आप से What interests me? क्या चीज है जो मुझे फेवर कर रही है? We have people in our panel जो इंजीनियरिंग छोड़ के डॉक्टर फैजल साहब उसके बाद फिजिक्स में चले गए. We have one more panelist over here. नाम नहीं लेना चाहूंगा because he doesn't like to be praised, which I believe he is, absolutely meant for that. जो डॉक्टर रहे हैं और उसके बाद वो किसी और चीज में चले गए, उन्होंने एक्सेल किया अपने आप. Humayun sir, great example. From studies, he qualified Indian Broadcasting Service. He's an artist. Am I good at what I like? Am I good at it? अगर मैं मतलब चाहूंगा कि हाँ भाई ठीक है मुझे डॉक्टर बनना है मगर बस एडिशनल मैथ यहाँ पर तक ही नहीं तीन नंबर कैसे मीन बस बाकी साहब बाकी साहब मसला क्या है हाथ में लगा तीन बस पका ऐसे फिर क्या करें व्हाट विल हैपन आई मीन अल्टीमेटली यू आर गोइंग टू बी एन इंजीनियर और ऐसा इंजीनियर जिसको कल को एक मतलब सर्वेइंग भी नहीं करनी आएगी बट गुड एट इट शैल आई बी हैप्पी डूइंग दिस इन फ्यूचर राइट नाउ अगर मेरे सर पे बहुत भूत सवार है कि मैं भी कोई ऐसा बंदा बनना चाहूंगा जिसने IAS क्वालिफाई किया क्या 5 साल के बाद मैं इस चीज से हैप्पी रहूंगा द बेस्ट थिंग इज टू गो टू अ केस ऑफिसर और टू एन IAS ऑफिसर एंड आस्क हिम द क्वेश्चन जो आपने एग्जामिनेशन से पहले सोचा था आर यू स्टिल द सेम पर्सन एंड बिलीव मी 99.9% ऑफ द टाइम्स द आंसर विल बी नो क्योंकि एग्जाम से पहले मैं सोच रहा था भाई कोई मारा आनंद बरकत सुखाड़ में या बेस वालस लेकिन उसके बाद आई मीन इट डिस्गस्ट्स मी टू सी पीपल ऑफ सच हाई कैलिबर दे हैव टू लिसन टू समवन हु इज एन MLA एंड हु इज टेंथ फेल दिस इज द रियलिटी अगर आपने मेडिसिन किया है इंजीनियरिंग करी है उसके बाद आप KS या IAS क्वालिफाई करते हैं और उसके बाद भी आपको MLA की सुननी पड़ती है राइट I think that's when you need to be a DSP officer. Anyways, then you have to be sincere with yourself and decide. If you have to be sincere, ठीक है मैं इस चीज के लिए बना हूं अब मैं ये चीज करना चाहूंगा और सिंसियरली आपको ये नहीं बोलना है कि मुझे टैलेंटेड जो मैंने पहले बोला ना सेबेस्टियन माइनस्काल्को का जो कॉल है कि मैं टैलेंटेड मैं कर सकता हूं नहीं आप अपने आप से पूछ लें अपने आप को एक जज मान लें और उसके बाद सच में कहें मतलब खुदा को ना हाजिर नाजिर समझ के कि क्या मैं इस चीज के लिए बना हूं या सिर्फ ये मेरी बस इमेजिनेशन में है ठीक है उसके बाद इट इंक्लूड्स माय पेरेंट्स आप अपने पेरेंट्स से टॉक टू देम डिस्कस द प्रॉस एंड कॉन्स अगर वो बोलते हैं आपको कि डॉक्टर बनना है आप उनको बोले नहीं अगर मैं डॉक्टर बनूंगा आई विल बी ए बैड डॉक्टर अगर मैं इंजीनियर बनूंगा आई विल बी बैड इंजीनियर let me be what I want to be because at least I'll do good in that right then finally take into confidence your relatives and acquaintances as well so what are the stages and actions that need to be taken this counseling event is mainly meant for people who are in 10th class 12th class UG PG who are in doctorates and want to go for postdoctorates so if you are a 10th or 12th class student the first thing that you need to do is work hard. Don't start, looking at Stanford University right away. क्योंकि अभी Stanford जाने से पहले आपको State Board of School Education कश्मीर का वो फेस करना है, ठीक है? जो यहाँ फेस करोगे, तब जाके आपको पता चलेगा कि आगे क्या वर्ल्ड है, ठीक है? और दूसरी बात जो हम में बहुत ही ज्यादा लैकिंग है, जो मैंने फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटीज में देखी, कि they take into consideration extracurricular activities. Never take it as something which kills your time. ठीक है और मैं फॉलो कर रहा हूं हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी को बिकॉज नाउ आई एम एंजॉयिंग दैट वहां पे अभी वो लोग सोच रहे हैं कि एक नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी लाए व्हाई बिकॉज एवरीवन हूसोएवर इज अप्लाइंग एट हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी उनका एकेडमिक रिकॉर्ड बहुत ही जबरदस्त है नाउ दे आर इन confusion how to filter students. ठीक है, students को कैसे select किया जाए, and this is the only thing that will be counted maybe in like the next 10 years. It's extracurricular activities. You don't have to be a bookworm, staying always in your room, never coming out. ठीक है? Then, as someone said, you need to find a person who you can relate to, who's an expert in the field you are interested in. क्यों? क्योंकि that keeps on firing that instinct in you or firing that desire जो आपके अंदर है. और आज के ज़माने में target about 80%. And if you are an undergraduate, learn the whole syllabus. Don't go for the hello. Don't go for exam guesses from Amar Singh College, Srinagar, SSP College, Srinagar, Women's College, Srinagar. No. ये मैंने भी किया था अपने ज़माने फर्स्ट ईयर में. क्योंकि मैंने भी एंट्रेंस के लिए प्रिपरेशन करनी थी और उस टाइम पे I used to actually really rely on those guesses for the first year. But for the second year, I learned, come what may, if you want to top the university, I topped the university in my UT results, you need to learn the whole syllabus, because that's the whole fun of it. अगर आपके पास syllabus रखा गया है, they want you to learn it, all of it, not the guess that you get from Women's College or SP College. Do some short projects and look for fellowships in national institutes. For example, there are fellowships all 2 year long in ICERS, in an Institute of Science, Education and Research, in IISCs, in NCBS, in JNU. You will definitely find all of those fellowships online, available. And you must apply. I have seen least a number of Kashmiris applying there, believe it or not. और ये बहुत easy है. ये आपको सिर्फ जो ही आपने फर्स्ट ईयर क्वालिफाई किया, आपके एग्जाम्स खत्म हो गए, उसके बाद आपको 2 या 3 महीने मिलते हैं छुट्टियों के. और शर्मा में वैसे भी करना कुछ नहीं फेसबुक के अलावा. ठीक है, फेसबुक आप छोड़ दें, उसके बाद सर्च करें. गूगल लगे हुए हैं, गूगल साहब. मौलाना गूगल जो ही आप वहां पे टाइप करेंगे, उसके बाद आपको बिल्कुल दिखेगा. आप टाइप करें यूजी अंडर ग्रेजुएट फेलोशिप्स इन डैश डैश सब्जेक्ट इन इंडिया, यू विल फाइंड hundreds of them, believe it or not, and apply there. Get them. You get a chance to work in a top-notch institute within India or maybe outside India as well for 2 to 3 months. Okay? Then percentage. Lekin, I think, point number 5 and point number 1 are interrelated. When you learn the whole syllabus, forget about Kamyabi Jat maar ke piche aayegi. 3 idiots, huh? Okay. Then if you're postgraduate, learn your subject well, because ultimately you get a degree of master. ठीक है? तो मास्टर करना है आपको डिस्टेंस एजुकेशन के थ्रू. मैंने बहुत सारे लोगों को देखा पुलवामा में. आई एम फ्रॉम पुलवामा. आई हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु हैव मास्टर्स इन पॉलिटिकल साइंस, who have masters in sociology, but unfortunately there are no ABC of political science. I think reading Hindu or Outlook, maybe a science graduate might know more political science or what is happening in the political world much better than someone who has a degree which has come really easy. Concentrate on lab work if you are a science graduate or science postgraduate. If you are not, then concentrate on reviews and publishing. What is published? Read that. Make yourself abreast with what's happening in the real world, what's happening in your field of study. Work hard on your projects so that one day you might be able to publish. And if you're looking for postdoctorate, you already finished your PhDs. And why I'm actually mentioning postdoctorate as well, even though if you're a PhD student, you are considered to be a good salesman. You need to sell yourself. But I've seen that some of the PhDs also are very poor salesmen. And that's why I have actually added this very aspect to my talk. It's talking about postdoctorate. Publish papers. Read a lot about the problem or the topic you want to work on in your postdoctorate. And target specific labs, institutes or professors. I have seen a lot of applications, coming to me and asking me, Sharif, can I actually apply in this institute? Can I apply in that university? Can I apply here? Not knowing what they really want. Why? Because ultimately I think they want just a postdoctorate, no matter what. But this thing is going to kill you. Because you might get into a lab or into an institute where you have applied randomly. It will not suffice your courage for the next 2 or 3 months. After that, you'll be just, cursing your stars. Now, the step 1 to this process is selecting universities. And if you do not happen to apply to parallel universe or to Mars, your university has to be either in Europe, the target university, Asia, Africa, United States of America, Australia or New Zealand. And there are some of the regulations which are specific for regions. For example, if you apply to Asia, European University, Australia or New Zealand, you need a language test. It's called as International English Language Testing System, IELTS, or TOEFL, Test of English as a Foreign Language. Or if you are applying in engineering sciences, for example, into Germany, Max Planck Institutes, Technical University of Munich, or to Switzerland, or to Italy, you might also have to face the regional language exams. For that, you can already, approach Kashmir University who do these courses, like 6 months courses in different languages. You can go there. And in Asia, we have quite a good number of universities which figure regularly in top 20 or top 30 universities. One of them is National University of Singapore. So you have good universities in Singapore, Japan, China, Thailand, and King Abdullah University in Saudi Arabia. In Europe, Germany, France, Switzerland, Finland, and Netherlands, Sweden, and as the BA suggested, maybe Norway. Norway is one of the few places, or Sweden, is one of the few places which has the highest fellowship. You get 2 PhD students from the US university, they will be getting the fellowship, which is even less than a person who gets fellowship during his PhD in Norway or Sweden. They pay you approximately 4,500 euros. The calculation you will do yourself. All the Australian universities and New Zealand, they are very good universities. The US universities have a different rule. Apart from the language test, they also require what's called as graduate record examination, GRE. And mostly it's a general. You have like aptitude, questions from aptitude, questions from language and whatnot. And I think you have to memorize approximately 200 or 3,000 words. I think this is pretty nonsensical examination in the first place. Why? Because, if you're going to do science, why to memorize 3,000 words just to vomit them on the day of your examination? Because ultimately you're not going to use them again. Right? Then if you're targeting top schools or top universities in the US, for example, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, you have to go for what's called a subject GRE. So apart from the general GRE, they also ask for subject GRE. So if you want to go for physics or chemistry or biology, you had to appear for subject GRE in physics, chemistry or biology. And you need to have an excellent academic record with proven extracurricular activities. Okay? However, for PhDs and postdoctoral research, what matters most than the university is the professor or the guide or the boss than the institute ranking. Okay? For institutes, if you are just, in your 10 and 12 and you want to go for different universities, the best thing will be to look at QS or Times rankings in the world. They rank the universities. That will give an idea if you do not. अगर पता है इसकी हिंके, अगर ये पता नहीं चल रहा हो कि मैं कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटी में जाऊँ, उस टाइम पे सबसे ज्यादा बेटर ये होगा कि आप गूगल पे जाएं, वहां पे QS रैंकिंग या टाइम्स रैंकिंग डाल दें और उसके बाद आपको पता चलेगा कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटी किस नंबर पे है और वहां पे आप सब्जेक्ट भी डाल सकते हो कि मैं बायोलॉजी में जाना चाहता हूं तो बायोलॉजी के हिसाब से वहां पे वर्ल्ड रैंकिंग आ जाएगी. ठीक है? देन ओके, the step 2. This I would call the backbone of an application. How to draft an application. So there are mainly four pieces in an application. One is your curriculum vitae, or biodata, or as they call it, resume. The next one is cover letter, what to write. The third one is research interest. Remember, this is different than a research proposal. A research proposal means what you want to study. Pick up a problem and then, write a proposal on it. How? What will be your role? What have people done already? What do you want to do next? Right? This is different than that. But this is research interest, and it's a common thing that's being asked while applying for a PhD or for a master's degree. Then the final one is statement of purpose. Why? Why? What is it in you that you should be advocating? And I will go to every one of them in one by one. What is CV? It's actually the trailer of a movie, if that is made on you. अगर आपकी पूरी लाइफ पे एक मूवी बनाई जाए, उसका ट्रेलर जो है, वो होगा आपका CV. And this is the first thing that decides whether your application goes beyond or not. Whether it finds a place in a file or it finds a place in the trash can. This is the first thing. They will look at your CV, how you have drafted it. And if they are impressed by your achievements and the way you have drafted it, they have very neat and clear sections in your CV and with a photo, and of course with your address and telephone number, and maybe if you have passport, then your passport ID, and your date of birth, definitely. Okay? Then the second one is cover letter. What should be included in the cover letter? There are two different structures I'll be discussing. One is structure 1. It should be a maximum of 1 page. Don't be boring, use short sentences. Don't show your command over English language. And use simple words. The pulchritude of Kashmir vale is so good that my heart jumped a beat. Kashmir Valley is beautiful, finish. Okay? Don't be philosophical. I mean, you're not going to get a PhD in English language unless you try for that, and then you've been asked to write your cover letter in very finest detail. Then you can maybe even take Othello or Shakespearean studies and use those words as well. But for now, if you're applying in a very good school and you want to be really impressive, use simple words. Salutation, how you should address. I used to do this a lot. I used to write, once I was writing to 2 Nobel laureates for admissions in their labs. I still remember that, and it was such a foolish mistake. I used to address them, His Excellency, Professor, Doctor, this. Don't do that. This is what I have learned over the years. And this is exactly how professors want to have their applications be addressed. Dear, and then use a surname. Okay? If, for example, my boss's name is Peter Ham, then directly write, Dear Professor Ham. That's it. Avoid first name. Unless you know the person before. Unless you have met him in a conference. Avoid first name. Don't write, Dear Peter. No, it's very unlikely that he might still be interested in your application because it's considered as an offense. Unless until you know me, you should not name me, you should not call me with my first name. Okay? And the first alphabet should always be in capitals. Just take that slight effort. I have seen people rejecting. Seriously, I have seen people rejecting applications just because they wrote Dear and the name of the professor with the first alphabet not in capitals. Okay? Then the body. Body should include who are you, where did you study, what course, what did you find interesting about the graduate program or professor or lab, why do you think it will fit your profile, what experience do you have, how does it fit to your personality, how curious you are to know about things or to know about cancer. For example, if you want to apply in a cancer project, what are your future goals? And the second thing is, why did you choose a specific program or problem? Quote the lab's research. Read the papers or the reviews from that lab. And what makes you a good candidate for the program? Give inputs. I have done this, I have done that, and then I did the project in this lab, and then we published a research, and you can find details of the publication in my CV. Then your personality. What do you have passion for in life? What makes you stand out? Achievements, extracurricular activities. And then finally, what did you aim to achieve in the future, and end with best regards. Know faithfully. You're not a slave. Know faithfully. Just leave this word out of your dictionary. Don't use faithfully ever. Just disregards or sincerely, that's fine. And the structure number 2 is, ideally, the cover letter should be of 4 paragraphs, totaling 1 page max. The first paragraph should include what is the job you are applying for, why did you find the job, or the information about the job, and when you are available to start your work. Then the second paragraph means you should write about why you are interested in the type of work or the research you have, you're writing about, why the company or the lab or the university entrusts you, and the third paragraph should summarize your strengths and how they might be an advantage to the organization or the lab or the institute. Relate your skills to the competencies required in the job. And the last paragraph, mention any dates that you won't be available for interview. Thank the employer and say that you look forward to his email or a reply back. Okay? And end with best regards or sincerely. Then research interest. What is a research interest and how to write an SOP? A research interest is not tailored to a school overtly. So you don't need to have a single universal research interest that I'm from this place and I'm applying to this school. Why? Because this school published a lot and I'm interested in to do my research in this and I fit well. No, you have to tailor a single research interest every time you apply with a new application. Okay? Do not refer to any job or department or application in the statement itself. Do not refer to that. Do not, and as in all job documents, remain strictly at the level of the evidentiary. What is evident? Don't say that, I believe in ghosts and then I might find a ghost in the corner of my lab and then I might catch him by the horns and then, make him Aladdin ka charag or something like that. No. Just be precise and be practical. Do not waste precious document real estate on what other scholars have not done. Don't put down some other guy who is in your field and say, oh yeah, I know that Professor Roberts Wilkinson, he has not done this, he has not done that, because they are not interested in that. They already have the net for that. They already have gone through what he has done and what he has not done. You are not an expert to tell them that. Okay? And this is exactly what happened to a friend of mine. He's from Pakistan and he was doing his PhD at the ETH Zurich, and then he went for an interview to MIT last month. And he showed me his talk before he delivered a talk, and then after that I came to know that he didn't take any of the advices and finally mentioned what he wanted to do. In the last 5 minutes, he had tried to criticize the boss he was going to join. That in 1995, I saw your paper, you have not done this, and then in 2005, you did one more study, you failed in this. It was really mentioned, these words were there in the presentation. Your group failed. This is something, if my group failed, then why are you applying to my lab? Okay? You don't need to talk about, you don't need to be the boss of the boss. Never go negative. Do not refer to other faculty or scholars in the document. No need to do that. Don't say that, with this guy I published this, and then with this guy I published this. Directly say, I did a study, we published this study here. Finish. That's it. Okay? And then give a sense of a publishing trajectory, moving from past to the present. Don't say that, I have published this in 2015 and then, blah, 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 and then we also published one paper in 94 and then blah, 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 then we published this study in 2003. No, try to have, a connection with regards to time. And use the active voice as much as possible. Okay? Do not use the passive voice. Then fellowships. For UG and PG, most of the fellowships for such programs is announced only to the selected candidates. This has happened a lot. At least to two of the Kashmiri students who I found in ETH Zurich, the number 4 university in engineering in the world, they didn't know about the fellowships. And unfortunately, they had forgotten to apply for those fellowships after they got the admission call. There are fellowships which are specific to universities and specific only for those who get admitted. And these things they do not publish on their website. So it's when you're trying, you only know that there are other things possible as well, which do not meet the eye. Then for PhD and postdoctoral research, funded in Europe, US or down under, for UK, there are innumerable ones, special fellowships for students with an Indian passport. There are like Manmohan Singh fellowships there, and there are other fellowships, Rajiv Gandhi fellowships are there, and they are in good universities. They are in like King's College. There are fellowships for Imperial College London, for Indians, for people having an Indian passport. Similarly for Cambridge universities. So it's only when you're trying, then and only then you know about these things. Okay. Then some fellowships are region, race, sex, and university specific. Some Some fellowships are specific to only Europe. Some are specific only to third world countries. Some are specific only to Africans, for example. Some are really, some fellowships are really meant only for the female students. So if you are female, then you definitely should write for those applications. And some are university specific. Then there are, some of the fellowships, for example, DHPA is there, then there is Human Frontier Science Program. These fellowships have their specific requirements. And again, the net is the best teacher there. It will give you all the information. There is everything that's written there. Then if you need further information, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, ResearchGate, LinkedIn, Academia, or Instagram. And if not, are you taking a selfie or the slidey? Okay. You can also email me on my email address, but again, the first joke comes back. Do not ask me whether this is a gazer in the muj. Okay? You should really ask what I have not talked about here, or if you have any confusion, what I said about it. And there is a Facebook page which goes by the name Kashmir Counseling, and which has quite a good part in today's counseling event. So you can find that page as well, and you can place your information there, or you can ask your questions there. Then I would really like to thank Dr. Mir Saab, the Director of the Directorate of Lifelong Learning, Mr. Humayun Kester, Director of Radio Kashmir Srinagar, Dr. Maruf, who is yet to speak, Mr. Wajad Qazi, who already left, Faizan Bach, who has been a spine in this whole program, Dr. Mir Fazal, our own theoretical physicist, and we should be proud of him, and Professor Dipesh Anand, who is a Kashmiri not by birth, but by all other adjectives. And thanks a lot to all of you. But there are also going to be 3 more things in the market from our side. We have 4 scientists from Kashmir and 2 from UP and Gujarat. And all of us were in Europe, that time based in Europe. We have 3 more initiatives which you should be able to see, inshallah, in the coming month or so. We'll be launching it from Germany. There will be 3 social media based apps coming on your Android and your iPhone as well. And they are about like help calls. If you want to need some help in other region, you'll find people who will be really happy to help you or who seek help. And then there is Rate Me Paul, which is called as RMP, our main app. And this will be rating people or your friends on the basis of your honesty, your personality, your professional skills. And yes, if you are a friend of mine and if you want to rate me, that rating will be less as compared to some stranger who knows you professionally rating you. And also if you have negative ratings from people who have really felt bad or had a bad experience from you, they will not be deleted, unfortunately. So we are actually targeting something which professors or universities might be looking like in the 5 years to come about the person who they want to hire. They will have all the information regarding his personality, his social skills, and his professional skills as well. So there's no way to, run away if you first sign up for the RFP. We are still in its beta version, but I think inshallah it's going to happen soon. Then the other app that we are going to launch is called as Insta Meet, and this is something which suggests you if you are a biologist situated in Srinagar. Then you will type if you're a biotechnologist, then you will type in the search bar, you'll type biotechnology, and it will figure out all the biotechnologists in your area. So you can also find where does that guy or what's his name, where does he live or she live, and all the contact information. Then you can easily connect with your professional peers or professional friends or professional unknowns, and that way it will make things or life easier. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shahid Hassan. Friends, we have now 2 experts. After that, we'll have question and answer session. So I would like to invite on dais now Rabia Kilbai, who is social activist and philanthropist. But I request her to be brief so as we are running out of time.
Hello. It's so funny, no? जब हम लोग crowd में बैठे होते हैं तो हमको लगता है मेरी स्पीकर मुझसे बात नहीं कर रही है, मेरे अगले वाले से बात कर रही है. I want to hear a level 10 hello. You understand what level 10 is? We are here for excellence, right? I want to hear a hello. Nah, not happening. Hello. Louder. I'm going to keep doing it. Hello. So the first thing is, can everyone stretch out their hand? ऐसे करो. करो यार. Come on. अब ऐसे करो. Thank yourself for being here. Yeah, I really appreciate, because if you guys didn't have an interest in learning what's happening here and what these people are teaching you, obviously you wouldn't have been sitting here. And I want to acknowledge everyone who's on the stage, because oh my God, I am so impressed with how charged up and how much contribution you've made to these students' lives. So can we acknowledge these people? But level 10, okay, that's it. Continue to yourself. 10 seconds. So I don't do career counseling. I don't understand career counseling. I only do character counseling. Yeah, so we're going to do that. And as Faizan has already mentioned, I'm out of time. So we have maybe 5 or at the max 10 minutes. So I will create something with you. And we'll see how it goes. So we're going to take 1 minute. And everybody's going to be silent. And I invite everybody on stage also to do this exercise. We're going to be quiet. And we're going to try and listen to what I'm saying to myself. You have all these thoughts in your head, right? Like I'm saying to myself,
चैलेंजिंग माहौल होता है. आप जब सुबह निकलते हैं कॉलेज, यूनिवर्सिटी या काम, शाम को थके हारे घर में आती है, आपके लिए आपकी माँ ने खाना तैयार नहीं रखा होता है, आपको खुद बनाना है. आपके वालिद साहब आपको वहाँ पॉकेट मनी नहीं दे सकते हैं, आपको खुद वही अरेंज करना है, या आपके लोन्स जो हैं, या आपकी स्कॉलरशिप्स हैं, या पार्ट टाइम जॉब्स से. और वहाँ की सोसाइटी जो है वो डिफरेंट नवियत की सोसाइटीज़ है. एक नई दुनिया देखने को आपको मिलती है. उस दुनिया को देख के आपका जो इल्मी सफ़र, सोशल सफ़र, पर्सनैलिटी सफ़र, उससे आपको खुद की पहचान आ जाती है. तो इसलिए बाहर जाना बहुत ज़रूरी है आपके लिए. मैं एक क्लीशे रिपीट करूंगा इस वक्त कि हमारी दुनिया जो है इस वक्त ग्लोबल विलेज बन गई है. सब लोग कहते हैं ग्लोबल विलेज है, ग्लोबल विलेज है. चाहे है या ना है, उसके लिए एकेडमिक्स हैं हमारे जो कहेंगे भैया ग्लोबल विलेज है या नहीं है. लेकिन हम कहेंगे एज ए ले पर्सपेक्टिव की है. उसमें सरहदें जो हैं वो टूट तो नहीं गई हैं, लेकिन उनकी इफादियत कम हो गई है. उसका मतलब आपके लिए इंफरादी तौर पे और कलेक्टिव तौर पे है कि आपके लिए बाहर जाना आसान हो गया है. तो सिर्फ हमारी इमेजिनेशन जो है वो हमको बांध के रखती है. हमारा फेयर जो है वो हमको बांध के रखता है कि मैं जाऊं भैया कल को वहां पे कामयाब होऊंगा कि नहीं, क्या मैं वहां के स्टैंडर्ड्स से उनके स्टैंडर्ड्स पे होस्ट कर सकता हूं मैं कि नहीं. तो ये फेयर जो है वो दूर करने हैं. इमेजिनेशन को अनचैनल करना है. इमेजिनेशन जब आपकी अनचैनल हो गई, आपका डर जो खत्म हो गया है, दुनिया फिर आपकी मुट्ठी में है. फिर बाकी अप्लाई कैसे करना है, कहाँ जाना है, वो बहुत छोटी छोटी बातें हैं. वो आप खुद भी कर सकते हैं और इसके लिए बहुत सारी एजेंसीज हैं, बहुत सारे इदारे हैं जो आपको हेल्प कर सकते हैं. और यहाँ पे जो हमारा एक पूल ऑफ कैपिटल है जिनने अपने फील्ड्स में एक्सेल किया है, ये भी बता सकते हैं. लेकिन मेरी यही है गुजारिश है, इल्तिजा है कि आप बाहर जाएं और एक नई जिंदगी का शुरू करें, नई जिंदगी की शुरुआत करें. इससे आपका खुद भी फायदा होगा और हमारी कौम का भी फायदा होगा और दुनिया का भी फायदा होगा. मैंने जब बाहर गया, मैं तमाम किस्म की कौमों के साथ मिला, उठना बैठना रहा. अफ्रीका से, अमेरिका से, चीन के लोगों के साथ मिलना बैठना रहा. बहुत है वहाँ, और सब अपने अपने फील्ड्स में कुछ न कुछ कामयाबी हासिल की है. लेकिन कश्मीरी क्यों नहीं है? कश्मीरी इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि इसके पास वसाइल नहीं थे, लेकिन अब तो वसाइल हैं. लेकिन अब मैं दोहराऊंगा इस बात को, हमारे सिर्फ डर और हमारी लिमिटेड इमेजिनेशन हमारे परवाज को में कोताही लाते हैं। ये शायद इकबाल साहब ने कहा है, लेकिन पूरा शेर मुझे याद नहीं आता है, लेकिन उनकी बात बड़ी है इस तरह कि अपनी कोताही, परवाज की कोताही में आपका डर है और इमेजिनेशन है। दोनों को, डर को दूर करें, इमेजिनेशन को अनरिस्ट्रेन करें, अनचैनलाइज करें। द वर्ल्ड इज योर ऑयस्टर। अब मैं फिर बात दोहराऊंगा कि जब मैंने बाकी कौमों के लोग देखे, मुझे भी डर होता था कि मैं क्लास में जाता था कि मैं बोल पाऊं कि नहीं, यहाँ अफ्रीका के हैं, अमेरिका के हैं, चीन के हैं, मैं कश्मीर का हूं, मैं नहीं बोल सकता हूं, और अगर मैं बोलूं मैं क्या बोलूं। लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता मैंने देखा कि मैं बोल सकता हूं। आई फाउंड माई वॉइस, आई वॉज एबल टू फाइंड माई वॉइस बिकॉज when a challenging environment and challenging situation presented itself to me. यहाँ पे मेरे पास कोई चैलेंज नहीं था, मेरी खुद एतमादी जो थी वो कम थी,